My name is John Ryer. My title was the Executive Director of the Florida Teaching Profession, NEA, as it was known 20 years ago.
It was really a job assignment. I was on the management team with FTP NEA, and I was the Director of Professional Development.
So I became a member right away. I then faculty rep, vice president, and then president of my local.
I obtained a position with FTP NEA as one of the directors from Pinellas County in that structure.
After some years, Petronella was president, and I became his assistant for pretty much most of the time he was president. And that's when the merger took place. At that time, for people we were starting to realize that it was really not productive for us to be fighting each other.
This wasn't just a phenomena affecting Florida, it was an economic phenomenon really affecting the whole country, where wealth was really starting to shift to those who were already wealthy. And the people who paid the price were, of course, the people who worked every day for a living. Knowing all of that, I mean, it was a very simple conclusion to reach, that we would be better served if everybody was pointed the same direction.
We had more in common than we had in differences. So at that particular time, the talks began in terms of bringing the two unions together. Jeff Wright in his presidency with FTP NEA, and then later Aaron Wallace with his presidency, and then Maureen Denon. The central part was recognizing that we were going to be better together than apart. No longer would Tallahassee or the legislators be able to use the tool of divisiveness to pit us one against the other.
The merger took place in 2000, but it took us a couple years to really integrate both cultures and both philosophies.
After we began to meet with one another kind of informally, then as merger actually was voted upon, I was optimistic. Now, it wasn't easy. I mean, you have two cultures that you have to mesh into one.
I guess everybody was ready for it. It was a question of how we're going to put it together, and how do you bring these two sides that have been beating each other up for the last 30 years, or 20 years, together and build some trust. The important part for me was that everybody was committed to it.
No longer fighting against each other, but joining our resources and our strength together so that we could act as one voice for the children of Florida to make those necessary changes that were needed in our systems, in our county. And we could do that better together.
The protection of the democracy is an incredible part of unionism as well. And that was a unique construction of government when our forefathers built this country. And the public education of all of the citizens of the country was as unique as the country itself. Nowhere else in the world does anybody dream of trying that. Well, there are people alive and well here today, as we know, trying to dismantle that. But it's that essential to the whole industry of public education and public universities that we fight about it, and we fight for it. The union is that important to the advocacy of public education itself as essential to a free society.
You need to continue the fight. Public education is important. Public education is needed. And we're the ones who are going to have to, in essence, save it.
And for us to survive, we've got to stick together. And I think we have a much better chance of surviving together than we would have. I think we would not be sitting here today if we had not merged.
I still believe that merger is the best thing that could have happened, and that it's still important. And as long as we remember the human element in it, and that we're working for people, we're working for students, we're working for educators and the education profession, then we can't help but win.
It was exciting, sometimes very frustrating, but I think we're better for it.